welcome my friends, my name is Dan Webz and today you join me on yet another cold, wet morning, and today we're going over 10 tips to keep your skateboard career progressing forward even when Mother Nature says no. Let's get straight into it. Okay, so the first one is repetition, right? So we're going to want to be doing everything that we do in skateboarding as much and as frequently as possible. As soon as you learn a trick, the battle does not end there. You just have to keep going. Learn tricks around that trick. Once you get your shove it, learn how to do a shove it and then a little 180 revert straight after. Once you get the kickflip, try and do one where you do a kickflip and then switch your stance in the air. We call that a kickflip sex change. Develop your tricks and always add new things onto them. And when you do something and learn it, keep doing it, because when you first get that trick, the battle only begins there. That's just life saying, all right, you can do it, but let's see you practice it to actually get it good. That's what I always think in my head anyway. So make sure that when you get your trick, all you do for the next few days, in between other tricks, in between skating here, there, and everywhere, on your way home, on your way to school, just keep doing those tricks, keep trying them. Don't be afraid of being seen failing the trick, because the person that is seen failing the trick 1,000 times is that same person that a year later has that trick every time. So repetition, repeat your tricks all the time, fit them in wherever you can. That's number one. On to number two. So number two is going to be super relevant to the kind of day we're in today, which is a really moist morning. Even though the sun's out in the winter, it's going to remain wet for the majority of the time, especially if you don't have a nice smooth skate park. The rougher the concrete, the longer it takes to dry. Skating in the UK, it's really difficult. So we've got to make sure we put as much effort in to keep our progression going throughout the winter, even more so than we do in the summer. And to do that, you're going to skate at home. And no, I don't mean pulling out the board and doing a drop-in off your mum's dinner table. What I'm talking about is taking the trucks and wheels off the board, so you've just got the deck. This part here, take the trucks and wheels off, or if you have an old spare one, or you might know someone that has one, use just the deck, preferably without grip tape, which you can remove with a hairdryer, just so you don't put holes in all your socks. And then practice your tricks at home on the carpet. Carpet boarding is the way forward. You can learn shove-its, 360 shove-its, kickflips, big spins, 180s, 360s, a bunch of freestyle tricks. I've just released a video on 5 carpet board tricks you can learn at home, so after this video, go watch that one. On to number 3. You see this weird looking obstacle that I'm sitting on? Well, that ties into it, because I want you to be skating every single obstacle at the skate park, not just the ramps you're used to, not just the floor, not just the rails. If you're one of the people that just skates one area, it's time to branch out, because that is the most important part about learning different things about skateboarding. And I know, right? You may be thinking, right, how is getting good at this little slappy ledge going to help me with my flip tricks? But one thing you don't realize, right, when you're doing skateboarding day by day, is that every time you skate anything, every time you ride the board, every time you fall over in the street, every time you land a shove sketchy and recover, you are gaining experience points. Think of it like a video game, right? Like an RPG. You don't really notice the experience points until you hit that level up, but every time you do a battle, every time you fight something, every time you complete a quest, you're getting a little bit of EXP points. And as you build that up over time, you'll slowly begin to reach the level up status, and that's when you'll notice it. Frequently using stuff that you're not used to will not only get you good at that thing, it will also bleed into other areas of skateboarding. Make sure you skate as much as possible, because the more you learn, the more it bleeds into everything else, not just skateboarding, your real life as well, because getting over difficult things is a transferable skill nobody was annoyed to have. Now, this next one is literally probably the most, doesn't make sense. This next one is probably literally one of the most important ones there is, right? So this one is exercise outside of skateboarding. And no, I'm not telling you to go to the gym, squat 200 kilos and get as big as me, because I am certifiably massive. Because this is what is not only going to stop you from falling over and hurting yourself more often, it's going to make your legs stronger for certain flip tricks, it's going to make you withstand landings easier, and if you're one of them crazy motherfuckers who is jumping down stair sets often, well then you're going to need this, because landing on your knees is going to cause damage over time, and having that strength there is what has stopped me from ever having any knee issues. So not only are you going to be doing more stretching out and stuff like that in the gym, but you're also going to be strengthening up your legs. And bear in mind, a lot of gym people skip legs. I do legs as part of my routine every single day. And yes, there is a gym routine video coming. It's been very difficult to film it because the gym is always so goddamn busy, and I need someone to come with me on a quiet time. So it's on the way. All right. Okay. So So the next one, that was a tough sit down, I can't lie. So the next one, right? Carry your skateboard everywhere you possibly can. If you've got college, carry it to college. If you're going out in town with your friends, carry it there, because there's one thing that I always say to myself is it never hurts to have the skateboard with you. And if you really are serious about getting good, at some point it's gonna feel like the skateboard is an extra appendage to your body. And when you don't have it, you're gonna feel like you're missing something. So try and get to that point as quickly as possible. Make the skateboard feel like it's literally part of your anatomy. And then when you go to other places to skate, you'll find stuff way more natural, especially if you carry it around in the streets. Maybe you see a little 1 set, 2 set, 3 set of stairs. Just go down it, try manual, try an ollie, do stuff like that. Get yourself out of the comfort zone of only skating at the skate park, because some of the most fun skating I've ever done in my life is just pissing about in the streets with my friends, especially if you live in a city like London, Manchester, somewhere like that, or any of the big places in America. I'm sure you've got street all over the place. Here in the UK, I get it, it is extremely difficult, especially if you live in a little countryside town like I do. We have absolutely no street here whatsoever, which is why we got that stair set added in the renovation. But if you can, if you've got college in a big town, if you're going somewhere where you wouldn't normally be, you know, there might be some street spots, have a bit of fun and just play out in the streets. But one thing I will say, number one, don't do it in an extremely busy place if you're not an experienced skateboarder. If you're an experienced skateboarder and you know you can keep control of your board, it's all up to you. But if you're one of the new skateboarders and you're just thinking about taking your board into the streets and stuff, don't do it somewhere where you feel like the board might fly out and hit an innocent old lady. Because even though skateboarders can be a bit reckless sometimes and it is just about getting the trick, you do have to watch out for the old people, because we're trying to build a good name for the skate community here so we can make it as big and inclusive as possible. So if you're not as experienced as someone like that, just pick your battles a bit more wisely. Maybe go to a quieter place like a multi-story car park. Just avoid the cars. Anyway, on to the next one. Oh, well, what have we here? An escapism skateboard. Now, I've heard these are literally the best boards in the business, throwing shade on the likes of hockey and FA, stirring up the skate scene in ways you cannot imagine. That is the Escapism Skateboards brand. And in case you didn't know, it's owned by yours truly. If you want to pick one up, all the details are in the description below. On to the next one. So what we're talking about right here, my friends, is skating all disciplines. Now, what do I mean by disciplines, right? Obviously, skateboarding is just skateboarding. What more is there to it than that? Well, my friend, you couldn't be more wrong about that. Skateboarding isn't only skateboarding. We have a bunch of different realms in which you can reside your skateboard career. We have freestyle, we have classic, we have street, we have bowl, we have park. Personally, I like to mix up everything into one big melting pot, because that's how I feel like you get the best at your sport. Just look at people like Andy Anderson, another man who skates all different disciplines, one of the most fun to watch, creative and incredibly talented skateboarders there is in this entire world. Personally, my favorite skateboarder of the modern era, and I feel like every discipline has its time and place, right? So for example, if you're looking for a trick that you want to learn fairly quickly, maybe you haven't learned anything in a while and you want to keep the morale up, get into freestyle, because freestyle tricks are very low risk, quite easy to learn as well, and I've got plenty of videos about them on the channel, so make sure you subscribe for that. If you want to get into street skating, maybe go to a skate park that has like a little stair set for you to practice on, a rail, a little ledge. Practicing stuff like that will make you good for when you go to the streets. Obviously in the streets it's going to be a bit more dangerous because you've got to deal with the people and any obstacles that might get in the way. And the one that I always neglected when I was a kid, because I found it so scary, is bowl skating. Get into bowl skating and do not neglect tricks, because the longer you neglect stuff like shove it, kickflip, 180s, the longer you don't do them, the harder it becomes to learn them later in life. Now, not every skateboarder wants to get into tricks and stuff like that, so don't worry if that's not you, but if you do want to, make sure you do it frequently and train. But one thing I will tell you to keep in mind is that they do not come easy. You might learn to shove it quickly, you might learn a 180 quickly. The learning curve when learning stuff like kickflips, tray flips, and any variations of those becomes so steep that you can easily get yourself bogged down and feel like you're not learning, or just feel like you're not good enough to learn these things. So I'm gonna look you in the eye when I tell you this, they take a long time to learn. So make sure you practice as much as you possibly can and never let yourself get bogged down. If you're making any progress whatsoever, then you're going in the right direction. But Webz, how can you even tell if you're making any progress? Well, my friend, on to the next one. All right, now you join me in the greasiest corner of Leiston Skate Park for what I think is the most important one. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that, I can't lie. For what I think is the most important one yet. film yourself. Now, I say this all the time, right, in other videos. Do not worry. No, I'm not telling you to film yourself and post your progress on Instagram, on Facebook, on Bebo, MySpace, MSN, for all my older boys out there, for people to see. Now, what I want you to do is film yourself for your own personal benefit. The amount of people or younger kids that I've said to do this, and then their parents have come up to me and said, oh my God, they've improved so much faster since you told us to do that. So the plan is, right, when you're learning a trick, say you're trying to learn how to pop shove it, I want you to set a little camera up. You don't even need a tripod, by the way. You can literally just get a can, bottle, whatever it is, rest your phone up against it and film yourself. So when you're doing your shove it, you're gonna film yourself doing a few attempts. Once you get an attempt that you feel like, oh, that was actually fairly decent, you're gonna go back and you're gonna look on your phone, you're gonna watch that clip, see exactly what you did that made it decent and exactly what you did or didn't do to maybe stop you from landing it. And that is gonna help you so much to decipher what's going wrong, thus making it so much easier to learn. And not only that, right, when you do first land one, if you filmed it, being able to watch yourself land that trick for the first time can give you such a morale boost to landing it again. And you can always, and if you get stuck in a rut of not landing it, you can always go back to that clip, watch it and be like, actually, yeah, I remember that time when I could do it. Then it re-sparks the neurons in your brain and all of a sudden, you're the best skater in the world.